Hey, it's Kevin Dewitt here. Welcome to the next video in the Setting Up a Home Music Studio course. In this video, we're going to talk about some real-world examples. So, real-world examples. One obvious one is I'm standing right in it. Okay, this is a real-world example. So if you check out the PDF, I've just put some photos in of some various pictures that either of my studio or other studios that have been placed on the internet or anything else. And there's various levels there. You know, you'll obviously see my setup, which I would sort of refer to as a, medium type setup. Nothing over the top, but obviously not your bare essentials either. This is what I consider to be really good without going extreme. There's some other pictures in there of what I would consider to be more along the lines of the bare essentials, and then there's some extreme cases in there which is more along the lines of professional music studios. And there's all different flavors there. You'll see pictures there of studio that is full of instrumentation, so it's obviously an artist point of view. It's not really a mixing person, it's more of an artist. Then there's obviously the mixing style setups where there's no instruments, or it could be a producer or a beat maker or whatever else. So I've tried to highlight in other videos not to necessarily compare what you have in your studio to everybody else. Use them as guides, use them as ideas for your studio, but not as rules or I don't meet that so I can't produce the same thing. I'm trying to show you different levels of photos here to give you examples of there's so many different styles of studios, from very cheap to really expensive and everything in between, to give you an idea that there isn't one particular setup. Everybody's is right. It's what you need in your studio that's going to be the success. So in my studio here, I have obviously developed this over time. So I actually converted a double garage that I was not using to put cars in and cut it in half. The double garage was attached to the house. It had a door into my house, and I put a wall across the middle of the garage. So the other half of the garage is more like a giant shed. Now, it still has a roller door on it that in theory looks like you could put cars in, but there's only half a garage, so there's no distance to put cars in. But it's a big giant shed basically. So this part here, I didn't build it as an actual custom studio. I actually built it as an office for me to work in my IT day job that I was doing. And one of the main reasons was because of my personal situation with my family, being a single dad, having children with autism, and my requirement that going out to work every day, driving 2 hours to work and back 2 hours and everything else, it just wasn't working for me. It was impractical. And working in IT, I do have that luxury that a lot of the time I can work remotely over the internet. You don't need to be physically in the office. A lot of companies do fight you about that, and it is a bit of a struggle, but I've managed to get my position where I could do that. So I primarily set up this space so that I could actually use that office in the day, every day, shut the door, be isolated away from the family so that I could concentrate on work, do a professional job in my work and everything else. Now, because the room was so big, I also put all my guitars and stuff like that in here and things that I was doing for all of my audio stuff. Now that then developed into me building it out as a home music studio and starting my own personal business to do it for everybody else around the world and mix and master for everybody around the world. I don't actively record artists in here other than myself. So, first stage was while I was working on everybody else's material as well, I wanted to release my own music, and I have released 3 albums. So if anybody's interested in checking them out, I can definitely point you in the locations of those. So I've done 3 albums. And to be honest with you, I could have done a lot more, and I really would like to get back to doing a lot more, but I just haven't had time because of my business with mixing and mastering and doing all of this training. It's very hard to find the time to also record my own stuff, but I am going to hopefully be working in a way that I can while training and doing training courses, double up so I can actually be doing the training courses while writing my own music and creating and recording and mixing my own music in that process. So that's my ultimate goal, and I'm hoping to get to that after a few of these fundamental sort of courses to go. But my setup has evolved over time. You know, I've put things in the wrong place and I made all the mistakes as I suggested in the last video. I have, you know, changed desks, I have changed setups. I've gone from touch screens to hardware units to just a mouse and a keyboard, you know, back to hardware units and things like that. I started out with cheaper acoustic foam on the walls and in various spots to building my own more professional style acoustic treatment panels, very, you know, nice, a lot thicker to control the bass a lot more and hanging them in certain spots and things around the room to get better results, and purchasing more mics and things like that. And I've sort of got it to a level now where I'm really happy with it. You know, there's obviously a lot more I could do, but I'm quite content with my setup currently at the moment. It's given me everything that I actually need without spending a lot more money and going to extremes of custom building things and things like that. You know, would I like to custom build a studio and, you know, have things like that? Of course I would. But the practicality of it is that I don't have the money for that. I don't have the time, and it's not going to really pay for itself, to be honest, with the way I'm doing things at the moment, because my focus now is more on the teaching side of things, teaching people like you. And, you know, building a custom studio is not really going to help me teach you unless I'm going to teach you how to build a custom studio, which I don't have the skills to do that, so I don't plan on it. So, you know, to me, this room is perfect for my setup the way I want at the moment. And you just need to find your perfect setup. And that, as I said, will evolve over time. You start off with the bare essentials. That's your perfect setup today. You work out of that, you do whatever you need to do, then you find what you need to improve and you add and add and add. But again, as I was trying to stipulate, look at the photos, get the ideas of layouts, people, what they're using, what they're doing. But don't think that you need to go to some extremes, all right? The real world examples show you there's different levels and for everybody, and everybody is creating music in all of those different styles of home music studios. Use them as reference and ideas, but don't use them as I've got to get to that point. So if you do have any questions about my setup or you want any advice in your setup, then please feel free to ask in the comments. Happy to help as much as I can. I'll tell you anything about my studio. There's no secrets about it. I don't care what you want to ask me. Happy to help with that. Again, as I said, it's not a perfect setup, but it is actually great for me at the moment. It is working the way I want it to, and I'm very happy with it. And hopefully you'll get very happy with your setup. So feel free to ask questions in the comments or the Facebook group. Hopefully it's been helpful. Thank you for watching, and I will catch you in the next video.